Everyone, this is Skippy. I'm back, and today we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be handling our processing inputs and getting the basics of our state machine and KeyList set up. And this is gonna lead on to us actually doing our map drawing, because we need to be able to control our map before we can really get into everything else. Okay, so we're gonna go into our editor, and we already have our get inputs function declared, so we're going to go ahead and make that now. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a constant SF input. They say input stream, but we just need input. Oh no, we don't need input stream. We'll make this a address we're getting, and we're going to get it from app.getInput. For me to declare, I do keep forgetting that. It has no member input. Okay, something I didn't expect. It should have input, but it doesn't. So we're just going to search down here. Looks like it's just saying there's an input stream, but that's not what we're looking for. So I'm just going to do just general input and sort of research it here. So I'll pause this for a second, get back to what I find. Okay, when I figured out what it was, I accidentally had brushed up my knowledge on the 1.6 version of SFML, not the 2.0. And so this is actually not needed anymore. Alright, instead we use if SF keyboard dot is key pressed SF keyboard Brad and say W or key. And let's just brush up, make sure this is exactly what it is. It is, with the exception that we just need that, and the board itself was correct. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get back to this, leave that open, and we're going to create another class. And this is just going to be a enumeration. So as such, we can just go into our header files and just add a new item. We don't need to add a class since we're not adding a class. Just a new header file. Change that header, rename it to KeyList or something like that. KeyList. And what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new enum called keys. And we're going to do WASD. We're going to do left, up, left, down, right. We're going to do control, Alt, and Shift, space, and maybe Enter, just in case we want to make use of that. Escape, And that seems maybe all that we should make use of for now. We'll make this extendable. We just need to add new keys as we see fit. We're going to save that. Then in our editor, we're going to go ahead and we're going to include KeyList.h. And we're going to make a new private, or actually, do we need a private? We'll go ahead and make this private since we don't need to actually refer to the one inside the editor from anything else, so we can just pass it. I'm going to go ahead and include vector and create a new entity vector KeyList keys. Alright. And what this is basically implementing is what we call a message pump. And so what we're going to do is on every time we process events, we are going to clear the message pump. So KeyList dot clear, and we are going to push in a new value. Each time we say, okay, we have W pressed, we're going to push that value forward into our inputs or into our key list. So W. And we're just going to do this for WASD and for escape. We're not going to actually use else if. We're just going to have a number of inputs in case if we had the same input pressed, or two different ones, we have that represented. So that makes it so we can have Control and S for saving. And we can actually just go ahead and copy this. What the? I don't care about background operations. And we're going to make this WA. D, and then escape. Oops. Alright, that looks good. Save that. And then we're going to make a new state. And what this is going to do is this is going to handle what our inputs are going to be. And then the state is also going to handle what our UI looks like. Basically how to print everything. And that's important because we need to know, say we have the up arrow and we want to navigate a menu. How do we know that? We know that by having a state that says, okay, we are currently in a menu state. We want the up arrow to be navigating a menu instead of navigating the camera on the map. And that really helps when we use the message pump, because the message pump now can be just navigated anywhere we need it inside a program. And this is basically actually how sort of Windows handles its event systems by using a message pump, and we're just using a simplified version. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add in a new class. And it's going to be called state when the wizard comes up. Now I just like using the wizard since it's easy. And then I forgot to do this on the other one. If not def. And now, some of you might be like me and think, no, I'm not going to do this. Do this. It will make things much less of a headache doing this, because you won't get redefinition errors and you won't have multiple inclusions of the same exact thing. So we go to our key lists, and we'll just name this one. Alright. If and def keylist h define keylist h and f. And so let's go to our state and let's take a look at our UML diagram. This is just going to be an abstract interface, and we're just going to be taking from that and using what should we call it? We're just going to be creating child classes from that. We're going to be inheriting from this abstract state class. In order to do that, we're going to have a virtual destructor. And we're going to have a virtual void int process inputs, and we're going to go ahead and actually pass in our key list to this, since vector key list, and actually we need to include in that our vector, oops, wrong one, vector, and then include our key list I keep forgetting I named this keys capitalized, and I forgot the std. And we're going to make this a reference. That way we're passing the physical key list to it. That way it's not copying the entire thing. We're just passing a reference, which makes it a bit faster. And we're going to have equals 0, and that makes it abstract. It makes it so we absolutely cannot create any state class. We have to use one of the inherited classes, but we can make a pointer to a state class, which is useful when we just want to have a strategy. And that's basically just implementing Java strategies using things like implement. And it's just a bit of a workaround in C++. And then draw, we're basically, we might end up making this inherit drawable, and I'll have to do my research on that, and that'll be later when we want to just draw our state directly to the screen easily. That is going to be a way I'm going to be doing it. And I'm going to have it both for our map. Our map is actually going to draw itself to the screen using app.draw map, app.draw state. But for now, we'll keep it like this. So let's go ahead and create our one of our actual useful states. And we're just going to do this right underneath, since it just makes sense to, as far as I'm concerned. And we're going to make this our editor state. Public state. And so we have our state, and then our destructor, and then we can just actually copy this directly. And then that's our basics for our editor state. And so now coming into here, we can ignore those and instead have copy this. Yep. And then copy that, make it a bit faster. cd vector keys reference k. And I'll just make it k, just since it's a small function. And return immediately after, so we can work on it later. And then something's up here. Don't know why I said it had move constructor. That works. And so now we can just say, okay. For this, I'm going to use the boost for each library. Alright. And then, if I remember this correctly, it's something like boost. I'll probably need extra resources real quick. And actually, I'm getting. That's what it was. That should work. So. And just look for regular for each. Just look at its And the body looks like what we will do is have, say, an int, then int list, or a reference to the. Got it. So say key k. Actually, I'll switch this. I'll make this actually KeyList. KeyList. K is undefined. Okay. And that should work. So in that way, if k equals w, we do something. In this case, I'm going to do k equals escape, then app.close. Even though we already have that, or no, we actually don't have that yet. So, and actually, we'll need to implement this into our editor class somehow to return sort of our events. I suppose, because I don't want to make our state necessarily aware of our editor, so we can pass in our app window itself, pass in what we need during the editor. And then we'll copy this over, and we can extend this as needed. Okay, where is our state? Oops. Nope. There we go. And then do that as well. I don't know why we're having this, because I didn't include make sure I'm using the right one here. I don't want to use one that I'm not supporting, or wasn't necessarily yeah. I also forgot this. You can tell I didn't do any, I didn't actually do this before I started recording. But that's how it goes. So we have this, and this is actually be like that. And that should allow us to close our window as soon as we press the escape key. And so we'll go into our editor. During our editor get inputs, we are going to then, or no, it'll be part of our state get inputs, which we now need to actually have a state inside our editor, because we have a specific state that we start at. And what we do here is now state, current state. Oh, whoops. Then in our constructor, we're going to make a new editor state. And then we're going to delete state, or current state. And what I did here was all I did was I created a pointer to any kind of state which falls under basically any child of the state class. I can't actually make a state object, but I can refer to one. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And this is going to allow me to use this pointer to access the process inputs and draw functions of this editor state, despite it actually pointing to what it thinks is just a regular state object. And it all works the same way. So, where to put this to where I get process inputs? We get our inputs on in the get inputs function, and in the update function, we're actually going to do our thing. I'm actually going to name this tick, since it is every tick is doing this. It's more descriptive of what it is. The update seems more like we're drawing to the screen. That's not what we're doing. So what we're doing is we're actually going to have a tick. And that's just a simple rename change. Tick. Make sure we have it in here. We're going to have ed.tick here. And then we're going to actually implement this. And what we do here is we send current state dot process inputs. Nope. So used to just putting a dot there that I keep forgetting I'm using pointers. And then we're going to send in our KeyList and then our app, our render window. And then later on, we will probably actually end up being put in, sending in the map for that. Save, Control, and we're going to see if this runs. And if it compiles the first time, it's a miracle. Nope. We got a linker error somewhere. And that's due to our state. And it's something to do with a unresolved external. Which is unfortunate, because I hate linker errors. It might be because of this. But it looks like it's for draw, which I might have neglected to actually implement. That would be it. That's the one thing I'm scared about making these tutorials, is getting those linker errors, because they are a pain and they'll stop me dead cold, and I will not figure out how to fix them in time. It'll take me hours. But I guess that's just as well. We'll see if this goes through. It should go through, since it did have... I like that. Okay. It created a window. And then escape. See if escape fixes. If it does it. Looks like escape does not work. So we'll see what's going on with that. And I think it might be because we're not actually calling our get inputs. That'd be it. Get inputs. We're gonna build it again. And it works. Okay, so we're probably I'm thinking maybe one last thing. Well, actually, no, I'll get to that next time. Or maybe later down the road. So, for now, we got our processes, processing our inputs correct. So we have all of this more or less done this side. And the next thing we're going to be working on is now loading up and drawing a basic map. Actually, I'm going to be working on making a not necessarily loading maps, but initializing a new map and actually drawing it to the screen. So that's going to be the big part, because that's going to tie in our actual inputs, which we already have done, and allow us to already have controls right on the map when we draw it. And drawing it's going to be pretty simple. And then after that, I'm going to show you guys some map loading. And this will probably end up stopping at basic map drawing with some lead-ons into probably some other extendable things. Probably make it extendable to have script events, to have NCP spawnings. If I'm going to stop it at just tile map drawing, likely, and then I'll actually start moving on to actually making our RPG, since it'll get the basics of what our, it'll get the basics done, and I can finish this up and then just release this, or probably make a different tutorial leading on to how to do all this. So for now, I guess this is Skippy, and if you like this, then please comment or something like that, if this is actually being seen. And hope you guys are seeing things going. If I'm not explaining things, please tell me. Because I do think I'm sort of flying through this without much explanation, but I don't know where I need to be explaining it. And you guys will need to tell me that so I can know exactly what it is I should be talking about while I'm making this. So, I guess that's everything. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.